direction in our models of development. Since India became free, our models of development have failed, models of education have failed, models of economy have failed, models of politics have failed. And they've failed simply because they were a European import, not suited for the Indian people and the Indian mindset. 100 years ago, in 1910, Sri Aurobindo wrote, India will pass through the experiment of parliamentary democracy simply to realize that it is not suited for us. And he recommended a system which was presidential at the top, panchayat at the bottom, and a mechanism to link the two. But that's the kind of foresight we had among these great masters. But that today, this knowledge of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa and Swami Vivekananda is linking with Sandhi in IIT Kanpur is for me the sign of a new model developing based on the spiritual foundations. Because India has always had historically an integral development, because the foundations of that integration were the spirit. Therefore, it could have the greatest diversity in the history of any civilization and culture in the world. And the greatest diversity without falling apart, held on this underlying unity of spirit, which alone can allow the full diversity. And unless our new models of development, economy, education, etc., come back to those foundations, they will continue to fail. And in all the presentations that I saw these last 3 days, that spiritual foundation was recurring again and again. And it was such a heartwarming, inspiring and hope-giving experience. I wish I were half my age and I would have joined the Sandhi team. To remind ourselves that all this is possible because of something else behind, of which we may not always be conscious. Sri Aurobindo observes in a seminal text, Yoga and its Objects. He writes, God always keeps for himself one chosen country in which through all the highs and lows of evolutionary cycles and the yugas, he preserves the highest spiritual knowledge as a living experience. And then he says, for this Chatur Yoga at least, that country is India. And he explains, when God wants to wallow in the experience of ignorance, he withdraws the sages and the spiritual embodiments from the public life of India, and India falls into darkness. And when once again the time comes for his light to shine all over the world once again, he infuses his energy once again into India, and all the sages come out of their caves and mountains and enter life and help in this upliftment. I'm paraphrasing. And it is this which I see in the whole Sandhi movement taking place here in the Ramakrishna mission. But the reminder is this, that energy which he pours out into the world through India, that energy is the one whom we know as Mother India, Bharat Mata. Mother India is not just another country. She is the physical embodiment of the Divine Mother, power of God. And when she awakes in our hearts. We are her instruments, her children. And the more we grow conscious of that, the more we align ourselves with her awakening power and force, she lifts us up and works through us in spite of our weaknesses and incapacities. She works through us to achieve that which she can do in spite of our limitations. And so it is helpful for us to consciously dedicate ourselves, not only in the spirit of service to the Divine Mother, but to recognize that it is she in the form as Mother India whom we serve when we turn in this kind of work, especially that Sandhi has taken up. And we allow her to achieve the impossible which we are unable to do. Namaste.
Dhanyavad. I think that's I think there's something which was, I don't know what word I use, there's something which was vibrating in these mesmerizing words of Shraddhaluji. The procession of the avatars, the turning of the cycle, the Yuga Sandha. And in the words of the mother, if I can paraphrase her rightly, she says, each avatar is a manifestation of a more perfect future realization. And he or she does so in opposition to all the avatars that preceded him or her. So in this pantheon of the expressions, the iconography that we have, is a very interesting thing which was first pointed out by the great psychologist who deviated from Freud, Carl Gustav Jung. And Jung said, when I look at the pantheon of Indian avatars, there is something extremely interesting. I see an animal form which is emerging from the deep waters, and finally it is becoming amphibian, a two-way, and it's ultimately entering the ground, and finally he is the pasture man, the agricultural man with the bow and the arrow, the vast Aranyak, the forest civilizations of the world. And then it becomes more urbanized, where the Sangharsha and the conflict becomes so strong that he becomes almost like a prince. And then after the diminishing of that, he takes the world to meditation. And this is where Sri Aurobindo says, with the ninth avatar, as he enters meditation, the journey of this evolution of man, seen through the descent of God, is perhaps not complete. Because India of the ages is still waiting to listen to that last creative word, where the iconography becomes so interesting that the animal form again reappears, but this time in absolutely white, like Sambit. And then it is not he, but she who climbs on the horse, because it is with the word E, which is Shakti, and she guides and becomes the guardian of the whole humanity to turn and construct and design the Yuga Shanda, the vast, ancient, immemorable Shakti, raising her head and trying to rediscover a vaster and a complete meaning of dharma. And that came out so beautifully yesterday from the words of Durgadi, Professor Basu. So we like to conclude with the blessings coming from her words, from the Divine Mother. Shingobahiri, as Maharaj wanted to add.
At the very outset, I pay my heartfelt respect to all of you. Truly speaking, I have no words at this moment to express my feeling. I am so touched by the seminar, by the words of the scholars, and by the blessings. Now, when we are sitting in this room or in the hall, any hall of Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, we feel that we are sitting at the lotus feet of Thakur Sri Ramakrishna and Sri Shima. So with their blessings, we are all here, we assembled, we hear the thoughts of the scholars. These scholars are not only the academic scholars, but all these scholars are jogging. These are their sadhanas. So last 2 days and even today, we have heard so many things. No doubt we are illuminated by the thoughts. But what I feel, that when we are discussing the historical evolution of India, it is simply a holy journey. And this journey has no end. Just like our life, we believe that life has no end. It moves on from one to another. It goes on and on. রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর বলেছেন, কে বলে গো সেই প্রভাতে নেই আমি, সকল খেলায় খেলবো সেই আমি। I was there, I am here, I will be there. So that it is a search, and that search will be going on and on. And I think for this search, the torch bearer will be the Sandhi. So my heartiest congratulations to Professor Sen and his team for making us all to be a part of this. And now we feel that we are also in this journey. So thank you. My heartiest thanks to Professor Sen. And lastly, I can say only, in the modern time, at this front of us, we have the Holy Mother. Swamiji says, I have already told you last day, that she is eternal. And unquestionable surrender, self-surrender can only give us this peace. We have our Holy Mother, Sri Sri Sharada Devi. Our Mother, resting in her, we are safe. মা বলতেন, তোমরা জেনো যে তোমাদের একজন মা আছে। So everywhere Mother prevails, and we are all at her lotus feet. So with this and with the blessings of Thakur and Ma, definitely we will move forward. Thank you.
If we need to conclude this benediction session, I think everybody will have one take home. I have mine, which I just received from respected Maharaj. No matter how many seminars we have, no matter how many conferences and workshops we have, but behind and beyond the clamors and the boisterousness and the rise and collapses of the waves within us, which are our own creation, we must have some time for contemplation. We must have some time for meditation. We must have some time for a soul searching. That is the beginning of the New Age, which came out so evidently present in the benediction offerings by Swamiji. I think that alone will assure that we are on the right track. That alone will assure our own historical evolution, and that alone will represent the Yuga Sandha, the coming days, and that will determine the future course, nothing else. So that is the gift that we have got from Swamiji. I think with this we close the benediction session. Yeah, so I'll request Swamiji, respected Baburaj Maharaji, to end with a prayer. May we kindly rise to the prayer.
Please come. Just join your voice. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Thank you.
Right.